I've been with my husband for almost 20 years, but about 3 years ago, I was strongly considering divorce, and I want to talk to you about why.
Yep, I'm her husband. I'm a pretty lucky guy. I got a lady who cares enough about me that she airs her criticisms out to over 100 million people on the internet.
How do you feel about her telling the world that she was considering divorcing you?
Yeah, I found out about that one when I watched the video. You know, I think it was very brave of her to talk to the world about my faults and none of her own, rather than just wasting time talking to me about them inside the container of our marriage. Where, quite honestly, I probably just messed things up by having a voice. Yeah, she doesn't like that.
And on paper, I have an amazing husband. He is incredibly supportive, he's kind, he's loyal, he's a great dad, he's very hands-on, he's an active participant, he's always present. Like, on paper, what else could I ask for?
And it turns out that off paper, she can demand a lot more. Or she likes to call it, ask for a lot more.
Every night, when we cook dinner, you ask me what to make. Every day, when you drop off the kids at daycare, you ask me what they need in their backpacks. I am the project manager of this home and I need you to do more.
Dude, is she being serious?
Yeah, and honestly, I feel really bad for taking advantage of her.
I have a question for the men. Do you guys still want to get married?
I think what you're asking is, do you want to be married? And I think that a lot of men would say, yes, I do want a partner to spend my life with. But when you say, do you want to get married? I'm not sure if you're keeping in mind all these extra steps that come before and the possible ones after. Here's a guy living in a cardboard box with his ex-wife in his house with other men. You have to keep in mind that happens with roughly 1/3 of new marriages. And that's only for the men who have the opportunity to get married, which is contingent upon a bunch of steps that have changed quite a bit over the years.
Yeah, like when I hear any woman saying, do guys want to get married, I assume she's talking about the men that she's dating that don't want to marry her because they're probably out of her league and they're just sleeping with her for fun. Every woman knows a man that would marry them and give them everything that they want. They just don't want that man, if we're just being honest. So when women do that type of stuff on social media, I'm assuming they're just talking about the one man that they want that just refuses to actually give them any level of relationship.
In order to get married, you have to date, and in order to date, you have to work and make money, and in order to work and make money, you have to go to school, and men have been facing a lot of new difficulties in all of these areas over the last few decades.
True.
So, do I want to have a partner? Yes, but do I want to go through all of this again? Not right now.
Yeah, and that seems to be the common consensus. Most men aren't afraid of marriage. Most men are afraid of divorce. Like, I think that life is extremely hard, and it's a two-player game, so if you have somebody to do it with, that's probably a good thing. And I think that marriage is a good institution if done right. But contrary to popular belief, marriage isn't about the happiness of the man and the woman in the marriage. Marriage is about stability, providing stability for children. But with no-fault divorce, the bigger issue is now it's about providing happiness for the woman. And if the woman isn't happy, she can file for divorce at any moment and destroy the whole family, which completely destroys the whole point of it being about stability for children. It's no longer about stability for children if you have to continue to make the woman happy or she could destroy the marriage. So with no-fault divorce, it destroys the whole point of the marriage, and that's where we are right now.
So you want to get married, you have to date, you want to date, you have to work, you want to work, you have to go to school. This is where a lot of male problems begin. I'm not saying that schoolgirls have it easy, but the last few decades, schoolboys have been treated like they are defective.
Yeah.
In 3rd grade, I used to finish my work before the other kids, and I would get up and move around, and they told me that was not okay, so they medicated me. When I got a little older, the other boys would start fights, and I went to the authorities to do the right thing, and they punished both of us. So then I took matters into my own hands, and they punished just me because of these policies. They don't let boys just fight it out anymore. Those types of policies are not setting young boys up for success. They punish the way that we natively look at the world.
Right.
It definitely messed me up a little, and that was 30 years ago, and I have no idea what's going on now.
Yeah, well, it's because those institutions are 95 or 90% women. And those women went to school before they even became teachers, and they were taught that everything is a blank slate, and if boys behave like boys, then they're defective, and they have to be pumped up with drugs. A 6-year-old boy is not supposed to be able to sit in a desk for 9 hours straight. And this is why, historically speaking, girls have always been more literate than boys. Even in the 1920s, girls were graduating high school at a higher rate than boys. It's because the modern school system is developed for women, for girls to benefit better. Boys are not developed or made to be able to sit in a desk for 9 hours straight at 6 years old. This is why throughout history, boys, when they were 14 years old, early teens, pre-teens, They were learning trades. They were in an apprenticeship with a guy who was working with hands, and he could teach them a skill that they could go out into the world and make their own opportunities with. Now you're dependent on this kind of white collar system where boys don't have the ability to create their own opportunities, so they have to be dependent on kind of a system to get opportunities, and so they have to play by the rules. They can't really be like boys. Like if you look at the whole white collar experience, it's built on passive aggressive, being fake polite, and you have to play by the rules, especially with what you believe and what you say, or they can take away your opportunities. In the past, when boys were creating their own opportunities, they had more freedom of thought.
When we get older and go to college, there are all kinds of things in place to help girls that are not available for boys,
Right.
and they say that it's there to correct problems, but I don't think those problems exist anymore. So as we are accumulating what we need to succeed in life, boys are getting less of a head start than they used to, which is, I think, one of the contributing reasons for why they say they have Peter Pan syndrome and they never grow up. I think it starts here. When we get into the workplace, there are similar programs that benefit women and not men. And that's an issue because women want to make equal money to men, but then they also want men to make more and support
Right.
them, and you
Right.
can't have both. Additionally, the culture has become very inhospitable towards men, and again, the way that men communicate and behave. And I don't know if you've noticed, but the economy is getting pretty bad, and even though that affects everybody, men are the ones who are expected to pay.
Yeah, it's crazy because women fought to make equal to men, and now that they make equal to men, they look down on men who make equal to them, which is weird. I think that that's weird. It's a superiority complex, in my opinion. That's why I don't believe that feminism was ever about equality. It was always about superiority. A woman who makes the same as you does not believe that she is equal to you. She believes that she's superior to you.
So this puts us at an increasing disadvantage comparative to women as we age. Then when we get out into the dating world, if you don't have any money, that's going to be a problem. If you can't compete on the dating apps, which most men cannot, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
If you're not okay with her having an OnlyFans or an Instagram or whatever, it's going to take some women off the table because they have so much attention. So a lot of men are playing catch up at this point in life when that didn't used to be the case. So our parents and grandparents did not have any of these problems. They just sort of grew up, got jobs, and married whoever was nearby. Have you ever thought of it like, would your mother have married your father if she had Tinder? Would she have chosen him? There's stuff going on in these phases of life for us that would have been unheard of even one generation ago. I once had a job where I worked with a girl. We had the same job. I had more experience. We had layoffs, and later she matched with me on Bumble and came to hook up. And I said, would you like to continue doing this? And she told me that I didn't have my life together enough.
Damn.
We were living in the same place, in the same job market, and we came from the same job.
But you had your life together enough for her to risk getting pregnant by you.
Had more experience, and she was getting $120K a year to do some like women's leadership job or something.
Yeah,
and I was
nonsense.
driving for
Google
Uber.
gobble.
So, I think a lot of people are really underestimating how much easier this makes things. So then if you
Yes,
can
because
actually
they wanted the equality of making just as much as the men, but they never wanted to take on the responsibility. So now that women are making just as much as men, you'll find that if you're making the same as a woman, she still wants you to pay all the bills because it wasn't about equality. They don't want the responsibility of having to work to provide for a family. They want to be provided for while also being able to make their own money and prioritizing their own career and success.
get to this point, you as a man, you have to take everything that you've managed to put together over the course of your life and put it all on the table for someone who is probably not doing the same.
Right.
Even though women are not having a hard time in the workplace, men are still generally expected to provide, while women generally keep more of their money
Equality.
for themselves. We've all heard, my money is my money, his money is my money. I found this great little video about that.
But I just have a quick question. My husband won't see all of my accounts, right? I have like 8 different bank accounts, but my husband only knows about 2 of them. I've just been secretly saving for years in case I ever need to. No, say no more. I don't need to see those statements. So as far as I'm concerned, they don't exist.
Yeah, so I don't
Crazy.
love the idea that my wife might be hiding money.
Yeah,
Of
what
course,
happens is since they go to work and work in the workforce, they come back home and they say, you got to help me with the cooking and the cleaning and the taking care of kids. So the guys, and I've seen a study by MSNBC that says that men are now, in 2025, it was a 2025 study, men are now doing more domestic labor than women. So we're in a current situation now where women are fought to go to work. They want to go to work. They do go to work, but they don't take on half of the responsibilities as far as paying for things. So the man is going to work, paying for the stuff, and also doing majority of the domestic labor because the woman comes home tired. And to make her happy, or you're going to get divorced, you better do what she says. So the guys end up breaking their backs essentially to do the domestic labor too. And I just think that it's insane.
That all of my money has to be on the table.
Right.
And there's about a 1/3 chance that you're going to be taking it to party with other dudes in the house that I bought for you. Divorce laws have changed too. You used to need a really good reason to get divorced, but now it can happen just because someone is not happy.
Yep.
They even write songs about it. Check this out. I have to mute it for copyright. I'll read it to you. Might be the only guy who didn't send me hearted eyes in reply to my latest story. We work well on paper. We don't argue. We don't fight. But lighting scented candles just won't relight up our fire. And right there she goes, ah. It ain't that bad. It's just not what I wanted. Don't want to live this life half-hearted. Hang on, here it comes. I want fireworks and flames. Don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That ain't love.
Yeah.
This is the squircle of unconsciousness.
So
it
stupid.
represents how people don't know how relationships work, and so they think the relationship is going to go like this, and then it turns a corner. I think she's at the dissatisfied part. You can't have everything is exciting all the time. Good choices are boring.
Yep.
No relationships are going to be fun the whole time. They're all going to have spots where there's no fire. But she don't want safe, tame, practical. That ain't enough. That's not even love. Look how passionate she is about dumping her husband.
Yeah, and I see this happen all the time. Women who date a lot oftentimes have a hard time being in a relationship because they think that a relationship is the spark and the butterflies you get from trying to woo each other when you're lust-filled and you're dating. When really love is actually pretty boring. It's consistent. If it's done right, it's very peaceful. And sometimes if you don't understand life, you think peaceful is boring.
That's real. I can spot a faker. And she even sings about other men giving her googly eyes on her Instagram stories. So this girl is what I would call an excitement chaser. She starts out her new relationships excited, and over time gets bored when they're not chaotic. And then by the time we notice she's bored, she's already got a new guy lined up. And this has pretty nasty effects on us. So your relationship satisfaction is going to change over time, but your stability is not supposed to. That's what marriage is. That's what it's for.
Yeah, stability.
Even when you start feeling like things are not as fun, you have to remember that commitments are what gets you through the swings.
Yeah.
I actually have a little
Vows.
theory that this takes about a year. Obviously, we get up and go to sleep with the sun, and women have changes in their hormones and emotions with the moon, and I think that a year is the amount of time that it takes to find somebody and have that strong emotional connection, get pregnant, and have a child. It's about 1 year altogether. And this girl is making a spiritual experience out of a biological process, and she's allowed to end the marriage over it. So it's not that I don't want a partner, it's just that a lot of us don't have what we need to build a partnership, and even if we get it, it could fall apart immediately. She could squircle herself into believing it's not love, and have a phone in her pocket with 1,400 horny guys on it, and then I end up here. So what you've done by fighting for equality is you've basically said, hey, you want to play a game of chess? I get all queens, though. Hey, where are you going?
Do you guys still want to get married? Like, is that still a thing?
I hope this all made it clear why it's less of a thing.